Folks, do you like control? I'll be honest, I absolutely do, especially as an entrepreneur. And I am so excited to announce our special author of the day, Rickson Dsouza. How you doing today?
I feel great, Kerry. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I was just on your website. I love everything about it, man. I love where you live. I love your commitment to fitness. I love this book. But let's take a deep dive here and really talk about the why behind the book. So, what is this book about, and why did you write it?
So, Kerry, I've been in the life insurance space as an advisor and a consultant for the last 25 years. And over the 25 years, I've been fortunate enough to be around fantastic entrepreneurs, mentors, people who've helped shape my entire journey, my career. I've had two failed businesses. And honestly, along the way, I've changed how I perceive my job and my role and my why in life.
Mm.
I used to work with over 300 clients a year, and today we work with just 4 clients a year
Are
in
you
the life
serious?
insurance.
4 clients.
Yeah, that's our rule is we just onboard a maximum of 4 new clients a year, as long as they are the absolute right fit. And I felt along the way, as I started diving more into this and focusing on that and committing to it, I've realized that a lot more advisors are trying to accomplish this, and the conversation has always been around how are you doing this. This has led to a few speaking engagements, at the end of which I'm usually bombarded with questions, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and on email. And I figured the best way to automate the answers to that would be to get the book out that tells them what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and why I'm doing this. So
Ooh.
really, if you're a life insurance consultant or a financial advisor, then this book is really about helping you to exponential income without it affecting the other areas of your life.
I love that. I love that. First of all, I love the subtitle too. I'm really into subtitles. The Financial Advisor's Guide to Exponential Income Growth.
Mhm.
So that I think is what a lot of financial advisors want. And I love your taglines on a number of things. Success is never an accident. And then even on your website, it says something about business. It's not just business, it's personal.
That's
I
right.
mean, this is good IP, intellectual property, man. Let's tell us what you mean by both of those. First, let's talk about success is never an accident.
So, my journey's been interesting. I got into the life insurance business because I chose not to follow a path that was laid out to me by my parents. And as a result, I reached back in Dubai in 1999 without the qualifications to be employed. So I chose the path of being a life insurance advisor because my mentor at the time told me that I could choose as much or as little income that I wanted to earn. I could choose the amount of hours, more or less, that I wanted to work. And all I needed to do was meet 3 people a day, 6 days a week. This is an old formula in
Really?
our business.
Okay.
Yeah, and honestly, I got curious about this and I was excited about the fact that I just needed to meet 3 people a day. As the years went by, I realized that I got into the business driven completely by ambition.
Mm.
I realized that coming from an entrepreneurial family, but without the resources for me to set up my own business, this industry gave me the opportunity of becoming an entrepreneur because we worked on commissions only. If you were willing to think of it in that manner, right? So I started moving very intentionally towards programs like Strategic Coach, being part of EO, implementing EOS, dealing with entrepreneurs on a regular basis. And this was all intentional because the thought was, how do I become like the entrepreneurs that I surround myself around? And this thought process has pretty much, absorbed itself into various other parts of my life, health and fitness and everything else as well. So that's the stuff around the whole entrepreneurial element of it and being intentional versus by chance or by luck.
Yeah.
Um,
But
so
now,
your other question, yeah.
now your other quote is about business and how it's not just business, it's personal. Ooh, that's hot. What does that mean?
I have to credit my daughter to this for this. She's in the picture back there.
I
Uh,
love it. Yeah.
so Leah D'Souza. So she was born in 2011, and we're Catholic. And we had a baptism party for her.
Sure.
And the baptism party had to be at home. We had two parties. One was 200 people, friends and family. And one was 250 people, business associates, clients, you know.
Wow.
The friends and family bit, 200 people was okay. The next one, which was 250 odd people, I realized I didn't really want to celebrate with these individuals. Back in 2011, I realized that I was doing this simply because I felt like it was owed to them, that I needed to call one person because he or she knew another person. One client had to come because they were referred by another client who I may have really wanted.
Gotcha. You couldn't not invite certain people.
Absolutely. And listen, that day I made a mental note of this, that I don't want to do business with anybody that I can't imagine inviting to my home and to my life for a meal with the family. And given the fact that I am really a life insurance advisor, my job is critical when the person who took the decision to put these contracts in place has passed on, which means I and my team now need to show up with a check. And the thought was, if I dislike this individual while I'm in the process of earning revenue, earning commissions on this deal, how am I expected to show up 10, 20, 30, 40 years later when that individual has passed on to show up for their family? So that when we decide we want to work with the client, one of our clear disqualifiers is, can we call you home for a meal with the family?
Wow.
If the answer is yes, we've got something to do together.
That's
if the answer is no, yeah, that's my filter.
That is a good filter. I feel like that's gold. I feel like everybody who's listening to this, he just nailed it. If you couldn't invite your client home to a meal to celebrate because of the angst, the misalignment, that's a big indicator that they're not the right fit. That's pretty good, man. That's your book too.
Thank you. Yeah,
that's your book too. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I can go through my list and think, yeah. I mean, that, and what, you said that was 2011. You said there was 250. That's how you then essentially reduced the wrong client.
So I exited a couple of businesses in 2015, 2016. And we had a few clients fall off the books, which I think, as much as I initially bothered, it troubled my ego. I literally later realized that the people that left were the people that I didn't want home in my house to begin with. So it was almost like a natural separation that took place, which means now, 2017 onwards, it was up to me to open my book to the right type of clients.
Wow.
So the thought process behind the right fit client and who I wanted to speak to and how many of them I wanted to engage, it began, it's almost like phase 2 of my life, the second chapter. And we decided to write it with just 4 clients a year, but they had to be absolutely the right fit clients.
So good. That's so good. You seem like a man on fire in a good way in business. But then I also look behind you and I see these medals. And we were talking pre-show about, I love cycling. You love pushing yourself with running this ultra marathon. Why do you think it all relates? Why do you think if you're going to be showing up all in professionally, you need to do that personally and you need to do that physically? Do you feel like it all relates?
Yeah, I think it all relates. I think intentionally putting myself through difficult situations prepares me for life. I used to be a morbidly obese individual.
No way. Really?
Yeah, I can't tell you in pounds, but it's about 140 kilos, so maybe 330, 340 pounds. And this was this was back in 2011, 2012. I went through a transformation, a change. I must say this is all due to Dan Sullivan's lifetime extender.
Yeah.
We used to write it out in Pocket Coach, and I remember putting down the things I wanted to do with my active new life. and we made that happen over a period of time. But I'll tell you, intentionally choosing to run across the Sahara Desert in a race called Marathon des Sables, intentionally choosing to run 86 kilometers on day 4, after you've already had 140 kilometers under the belt, is something that really lets you connect with your innermost person. That
Yeah.
race for me was about me taking back control after a failed business and a hostile takeover. But when I came back from that race, I just felt lighter as a person, right? It was absolutely amazing. And I think today, when I think about this, if I don't see myself, if I see myself coasting, so if I see myself not pushing myself a little bit outside my comfort zone, then my natural tendency is to get bored as hell.
Mm,
So there is almost like a need to constantly put
challenge.
myself out there, challenge myself mentally, physically. And challenge physically is different today than what it was, I'd say, 7 years ago, right? But writing a book, for example, today for me it's something for me to get out. It's me completely out of my comfort zone.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's I think it's all related. There's no doubt about that. It's a
Wow.
mindset at the end of the
I
day.
love it. I love it. Talk to me about the title of the book because, some people think control's bad, but I feel like when you don't have control, that's bad. Like in other words, um, I teach at the university too, and this is not my own thought, but I tell my students, victims lie in bed, blame, excuses, denial. Okay, BED. Victors put their oar in the water and move forward. Ownership, accountability, and responsibility. Your book, Take Control, is about ownership, accountability, and responsibility. Why do you think people either bristle about control or say, well, I'm out of control. I don't have control. Why do you think people go there?
I think it's easier to default to blaming circumstances, to
Mm,
blaming the situation, to blaming life. I know so many people, family, friends from the past who till today will blame their family, blame their upbringing, compare themselves. They're in the gap, as Dan would say, right? Because they're constantly blaming or looking at the situation and say, well, if I only had those things in life, things could change. And I remember years ago attending a conference, and I don't remember the name of the author, but he wrote a book on intentional living.
mm,
And I remember at the end of that, his talk, I went up to him and I spoke to him and I said, I wish I had this fantastic, crazy story that I could talk about like you do. And he said, whatever is in your past is in your past. From here, what
mm.
happens in your future, that story is yours to write. And if you decide you want to write that story as coming out from a hostile business takeover, coming out from a failed partnership, coming out from $2 million in debt with a loan shark at 30% per
Are
annum.
you serious? Wow.
Yeah, well, from morbid obesity and from everything else, it's
Mm,
up to you to write that story. His thoughts, his words inspired me so much, and it made me sit and think. I remember I was 39 years old when I decided to run the Marathon des Sables, and honestly, the thought process behind that was, let's take control of my life, my health, my power
mm.
today. Let's claim it back today, now, by just making the decision. What happens after that is just a result of that decision, right? Even through an ultra marathon, I came across people who gave me advice as regular ultra marathoners:
Wow.
control the
Oh,
controllables,
that's good.
right? Run what is runnable. In
Yeah,
a sand dune across the Sahara Desert, you are not going to be able to run uphill when your knees are stuck in the sand.
that's
So you
right.
got to walk. But downhill is your chance to run. Dry riverbeds is your chance to run. And life is the same.
Mm,
I think taking control is critical. It's important, and there are so many there are so many pieces of information, whether it's in the form of books and audiobooks or a podcast and stuff out there, which can encourage you. Sometimes you just have to snap out of it, take the first step, and follow through. That's all you have to do. Um, I like the idea of that.
That
I
is
like the
good.
idea of just focusing on the next step.
Control
Right?
the controllables. I like that. I like that. So yeah, because I mean, when you wake up, we have a TV station called CNN, and somebody jokes, constant negative news. You know,
Yeah.
but you're bombarded by everybody's got a plan for your day, and everybody's got bad news or good news, and there is this feeling of out of control. So I love how when you run an ultra marathon, even in that race, it's like a microcosm of life,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And there's certain things that you can control. So let's go into your book a little bit here. And one, it looks fantastic, but the Financial Advisor's Guide to Exponential Income. What do you think you want people to see? I think maybe let's start with these three benefits here. So set clear goals, take ownership, know your numbers and tactics. I
Yeah.
love this right fit clients. Lean
Yeah.
into an obsession with your craft. Maybe unpack a few of these things for us here.
Absolutely. I think the first part of it is pretty, it's pretty straightforward, or it should be. But I know in our industry per se, because we're financial advisors and we usually earn a commission, um, people tend to think of themselves more as employees working for an organization, either an insurance company or a brokerage firm, rather
Mm,
than as entrepreneurs. But the reality is, if you're in a line of work where you don't know where your next buck is going to come from, you don't
right.
have a fixed day, you are already working as an entrepreneur. And for an entrepreneur to be successful, there needs to be some vision. A lot of times what happens is in our business, goals are given to the advisor by their managers or by the management or by the organization. Those
Mm,
goals may not relate to you as an individual at all, which is why my first stage with this entire process is you need to set that big, hairy, audacious goal. That's
yes.
critical. It needs to be relatable to you as an individual. And for all you know, that number is going to be way higher than what the company or your manager or the management is giving, right? So this is a critical thing in my opinion, because the masses in our industry just default to what is required by the company.
Mm,
How do I make that work? But if your numbers are
yeah.
10x, if your
So
numbers are 10x, go ahead.
so if the number's handed to me, it's not my goal. So I don't have to really show up. I can just say, well, that I didn't come up with that.
No. I mean, I subscribe to it, but what does
Mm,
it mean to me? What does that number literally transcend down to me? What am I going to do with every single dollar that I earn at that number? Is it relatable to you? And if
wow.
it's not, you're not going to show up.
That's
You know,
good. I like that. That is very good. Okay. So are you looking to, I mean, I think you're going to attract a lot of people with this book. Clients, are you taking on more advisors? I mean, what if somebody says, I like this guy, Rickson. What's the goal?
I have run a business in the past where we had 60 advisors working with me, and I realized very quickly that that is not for me.
Oh, that's
Our
smart.
friends Dean and Chad constantly talk about the VCR formula, the vision, the capability, and the reach. I
Yeah.
realized that I'm the vision and I'm the reach. I don't have that capability of managing a team of 5, 10, 15, 20 advisors. So the short answer is no. I'm not the guy that's looking to hire advisors.
That's
What I
okay.
am looking to do, though, from an impact perspective, is through the Sachicio Academy, coach and mentor advisors to break those thought processes, that mindset, to break through those glass ceilings, so to speak,
Yes.
and basically take control of their own finances. I'm excited about having an impact to people from my community, my industry, people who understand the challenges that we go through and help them have some kind of breakthrough. That's what I'm excited
This
about.
is amazing. How many people do you know out there say, I'm going to take my 250, go down to 4 right fit clients. I'm going to realize I could have a lot more advisors, but that's not me. Sounds to me like you're applying your book of taking control.
I think I think the book was a result of applying all of this in my second phase of my life. I want to call the first phase of my life misguided ambition, where I thought the
Mm.
way to actually grow is hire more advisors, meet more clients, and then you suddenly realize that that finite 8 hours a day that you have available and that everybody else has available runs out very quickly. And the result of that is me not focusing on health, me not focusing on my kids, my marriage, and everything else. It was just business, 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 right? Whereas today, I can honestly say by taking control, by working on just those 4 clients a year, I have ample time to show up as a husband, as a parent, as an entrepreneur, as a leader to my team, absolutely all the other areas of my life, which were ignored for a very, very long time.
Wow. So you'd rather have all the other success metrics, personal, health, financial, business, than
Mhm.
just crushing it in one area where you have to sacrifice everything else.
Absolutely. I think
That's
it's
good.
learned from past mistakes.
That's good. Wow. Okay. Well, if you and I'm going to pull a Dan Sullivan on you. If you and I
Okay.
are chatting in a year from now and we're saying, hey, how is that book going? What would you say needs to have happened regarding the book and impact, for you to be like, that was amazing?
That's a great question. I can tell you the purpose behind the book was to impact financial advisors and life insurance consultants. The goal behind the business was to first talk to advisors in Asia because I've had a couple of talks over there and it's been fantastic. The way they want to learn and grasp this is amazing. A year from now, if over 10,000 books had reached the right places through
Ooh,
insurance companies, through the advisors, and as a result of that, if we were able to fill a cohort for advisors to elevate their game,
mm,
that would be magic. I'm least concerned about any potential earnings or revenue from the book. I'm most concerned about the impact it could have to the right audience.
that's cool. So the room's full of people, 10,000. Let's pretend it was a room, and they're telling the stories of, look, I was obese, or I was not having a relationship with my kid or my spouse. I wasn't sleeping well. And they're reading the book and they say, I've taken control.
Mhm.
That's pretty
Mhm.
cool. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, because my next call is with Chad Jenkins, our friend who introduced us, Mr. Collaboration himself. What do you feel are collaborations? I don't even think we've featured, first of all, where you're from. So tell us where you're from and how that's maybe a little different mindset. I want to travel there. But then also, what collaborations do you have that you're looking forward to? Maybe we'll land the plane there.
Yeah. I live in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates. So I'm a third generation South Indian whose parents migrated to the Middle East many years ago, and this is home. In terms of collaborations now, um, as I said earlier, I'm the vision and the reach. What I'm not is the coach or the capability, right? But what I'm really looking at doing is finding the right collaborators. For me, the collaborators today would be the potential coaches who get where I'm coming from and can apply this to their audience,
Oh, that's cool.
right?
It's a
So,
tool. So
but
it's a tool to equip and empower them.
absolutely. And
That's cool.
when I look at it today, I'm looking at that in Hong Kong, I'm looking at that in Singapore,
Are you
I'm looking at that
serious?
in Malaysia, Vietnam, Indonesia. These are the places I want to go to and make the biggest impact possible. Life's very different over there as a financial advisor. When you think about what it takes to make it in the industry over there, you are still responsible for a fairly large family. And
Mm.
those, if I can show them the path of being able to get more by doing lesser,
Ooh, yeah.
I will be at peace.
That's cool. I like that. Well, I know every time I see Dubai, it's amazing. There's incredible things going on. So it would make sense that you are crushing it there. But this is awesome. What's your next physical challenge that you have in front of you?
Well, I have signed up for a marathon in December. The plan was to go sub 3:45. It's still on the cards, I'll tell you that.
Oh my gosh.
It is,
Wow.
yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. But honestly, physically today, I'm listening more to my body rather than just focusing on crushing one race after another. I'm excited about the journey today. That's really what I am.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I'll tell you what a blast today learning. I'm going to tell you to all get his book, Take Control. Whether you're a financial advisor or not, you can learn from these right fit clients. I love the imagery you gave about who would you invite over to your home. Rickson is a guy who's active on social media. I follow him as well. And I want to encourage you, if you want to get inspired, motivated, you want to see somebody who's really practicing what they preach, his website is literally Rickson, again, Dsouza.
That's right.
And check it out and you can learn all about it. So thank you, my friend, for investing in yourself, getting this book out. And I know you're going to impact a lot of lives.
Thank you so much for having me, Gary.